Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm trying to get the video length a little bit shorter. I know not all of you have 2 hours to spend watching a video and trying to figure out a drawing. So we're going to try sketching in pen first of all, and we're going to eliminate some of the background stuff. So I'm not going to be doing a whole composition. I'm just going to show you how to do a subject matter. And we're going to go straight to the pen. You can do yours in pencil if you'd like. It's totally optional if you want to sketch in pen. But you know, if you feel confident with the pen, go ahead and go straight to the pen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to draw a spaceship, just like a cool alien or sci-fi type spaceship looking thing, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Anyways, before we get started, let me thank my patrons on Patreon. You guys allow me to buy extra art supplies every month and take care of some bills and stuff, so that's super awesome. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's a link in the description and at the end of the video there. So yes, thank you very much. Let's get started. Alright, so like I said earlier, we're not going to add a background or anything, so I'm not going to bother with the border, anything like that, and I'm going straight to pen here. So, I would suggest going straight to pencil, and if you want to take your time with this, go ahead and just pause the video if you need to catch up or anything like that. How I'm going to start this out is we're going to get some kind of big shapes going, but I'm going to leave some gaps in the lines and stuff like that, and I'll show you how I do that. So we got to figure out what shape our ship should be. I'm thinking I kind of want it to have a narrow sort of nose section, so I'm going to start like maybe right about here, and I'm just going to draw kind of whatever shape seems to come out, something like that. It's going to be kind of a weird looking ship here, so, and then from there I'm going to add some stuff on the top. So this is going to be kind of the cockpit, I think, right here, and then I'm going to have kind of a section coming back connecting, and this part up here can be, I'm imagining like a chunk where all the communication stuff attaches to and all that. So I'll have this coming back. Now we're going to want to draw a big like body section, or at least part of one. So I'm just going to draw a straight line coming back like this, and then a big swooping kind of shape, and that's going to turn into our body. And then I'm going to draw a little bit of a cutout right here, and we'll leave that alone for now. And then something like that. This is kind of reminding me of a Star Trek, like a Klingon or a Romulan ship here so far. That's cool though. And then yeah, let's draw some like some panels here, like maybe there's like cargo sections or modules or something here. We'll draw something like that on there. And I'm just shorthanding some boxes here. They're, going to be rectangular boxes basically. So yeah, we have that on the back. We're going to need some engines, so let's draw some kind of cylinder type shapes, like modified cylinder-y looking guys, something like that. I know these shapes are kind of complicated looking at first, but I'm really just drawing like big cylinders and then just adding little gibbets and greeblies on here, just kind of randomly too. I find that adding a lot of little random shapes gives it kind of like a technology sort of look to it. So we're going to add some edges here. This is like maybe where the exhaust vents out of it, or the thrusters, whatever they are back here. Maybe it's like their sort of nozzle or something like that, right? Okay, so I like to I'm going to add some shorthanded cylinders coming down. I like to add stuff like this, just kind of sticking off. Maybe it's fuel tanks or storage compartments, something like that. And don't worry if you cross over lines like that. This one's going to be pretty sketchy, so you can kind of be a little sloppy with it. Not sloppy, but loose, I guess, is probably more what you want to be. And we're just going to do some kind of shapes following the contour down here, like so. Coming up this way. Just some stuff like that. And, you know, feel free to just kind of, if yours doesn't look exactly the same as mine, you know, I mean, it's not going to. So just feel free to use your imagination and kind of go with whatever. And you guys let me know in the comments too, like, is this a good way to do the video? Is this useful to you? Or do you need, would you prefer that I, you know, showed you how to sketch out all the shapes and stuff? Or, I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm just coming through and adding little bits and bobs here, and that's starting to look kind of like a spaceship, huh? Let's add a couple pieces sticking up this way. These are just short-handed cylinders again, and I'm really slopping them out, but that's okay. When you have that sloppy edge, it gives you an opportunity to, you know, see, like, create some interesting shapes, something like that, maybe. And we'll just come through, add some other stuff. All right, so I'm going to draw another, I feel like this looks like a little off center here, so I'm going to draw another kind of lobe of this lower section, and then maybe this is going to have a big split in it down here. And I don't want to start hatching yet, but I'm just doing this real quick so I don't forget the shape I'm trying to make here. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll just hatch, do like some contour lining or hatching real quick, just to, as like a little note to myself later when I start working on that again. So yeah, we're gonna do that, and then I feel like it needs some little gun turret type things. Like maybe it needs to defend itself. So let's draw a little dome shape here. Maybe a couple little barrels sticking off. And I'm not even worried about like those lines crossing over each other. I'm not worried about these domes being perfect either. But yeah, maybe he's got to defend himself against pirates, right? So, or maybe he is the pirate. But yeah, so there we go. Let's add a little communications antenna array down here. I feel like is a good place for it. And we'll just add some little antennas. You can put yours wherever. You can put it coming off the top, the bottom, wherever you want. No big deal. It's your spaceship. Make it your own, right? And then, bam, something like that. I think I'm going to add a second communications array off the top here. I feel like it needs that. And these little antennas, I'm just imagining a little antenna with like some boxes and stuff sticking off of it. And, you know, something like that. Okay, so let's add some windows. I'm going to do these little oval-shaped windows kind of coming back. That'd be cool. Maybe we'll put like a little part sticking out towards us a little bit here. And some little gibbets and greeblies here. Let's see. I'm just playing around, adding some wires or cables, big tubes sticking down. I feel like it needs something else. It needs like a big weird shape. Let's give it like a big arching part that kind of comes down this way, just to make it look interesting. I don't know what it does, but maybe we can come up with a backstory for that later. This thing. Yeah, maybe it's got some chunks sticking out like down here. We'll give it kind of a shape. Something like that. Give it some some bumpy bits. Why not? Little bumpy bits. All right, that looks pretty cool. Let's give him one more little gun turret. I feel like, yeah, right down here on the bottom, he needs another little gun turret. Like so. Maybe a couple little antennas sticking off the front. I'm going to keep those kind of nice and thin. All right, so next step, I'm going to come around and just bulk up the peripheral line a little bit. And it doesn't have to be on everything, but I feel like it just needs a little bit extra oomph in this line work going all the way around. Yeah, like the antennas and stuff, you don't really want to bulk those up. You want to leave those alone, so just move past them, no big deal. And you can add your gibbets and greeblies on here, like so. And, you know, just little edge details, right? Like, the ink isn't the best for this. I'm sure it's bleeding through the other side of the page here. I'm almost done with this Moleskine sketchbook, so that is nice. And we will move on to the, I forget the name of it, Stillman and Berm or something. Burn and Stillberman, Bergerman. I don't know. I used some of the Patreon money to buy a new sketchbook, and I just wanted to finish this one up before I switch into the next one. So I'm just going to give this little edge some details coming off. And this pen is very interesting. It almost feels like I'm using a paintbrush as far as like how the ink flows out of it. Because if you dilly-dally in one spot too much, it'll start to pool up. It's got a lot of flow to it, which is good, but you definitely want to be aware of it. Take note. All right. Sorry, my voice is a little raspy still. I'm recovering from a cold, so I feel like I'm getting a lot better today. All right, so let's switch to a different pen, and we will do some hatching on this, and then we'll call it done. I'm going to go for the extra fine TWSBI here for hatching, and the cap doesn't like to stay on this one anymore. Let's give that a light blow to dry it. And then we're going to start in some of these kind of lower areas here. I'm imagining a light source from the top left, so we're just going to hatch in some of these areas, kind of where the shadow would be, you know, where it's underneath the ship, like that. And then, yeah, you can just come through and you can create a bunch of dimension with some hatching by just picking out little shapes and angles and stuff like this. There we go. Something like that. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Oh, let me close this thing off real quick here so I don't forget. I don't think it matters all that much. I think you can kind of leave it sitting there as long as the air pressure doesn't change. So I don't know if or maybe the temperature actually could affect that. So you might want to be careful. And then, yeah, when I'm coming through here, I'm adding some of this like extra little contour lining type stuff like that, you know, but then I'll do some hatching here. Maybe this has a little shadow, kind of pushing that down. in that area. And I'll link in the description, I will do a link to my hatching tutorial. It gives you an idea of how I practice this, but I'm just imagining the shape and then hatching along kind of a wireframe that basically I'm imagining. And that's how I get decide which direction the hatching is going, kind of. After you practice it for a while, you kind of just get a feel for it, and you know where you can kind of bend and break the rules and stuff. So, but I will leave links. There's 2 tutorials that I've done so far, and I'm planning on doing some more here soon. So stay tuned for those. And yeah, I'm just putting all this little stuff down in the shadows here. Just leaving little highlights where I think they might have some reflected light, or, maybe there's a star over here. It'd be cool to do a background on this. Starry background with some planets and stuff. And then we'll say like this thing's like some sort of scoop. Maybe it scoops up solar wind or something. Who knows? So give it a little bit of a contour here. And don't be afraid to be like loosey-goosey with this type of stuff. Like, even like, mechanical stuff, you can really just be super sketchy with it, and it, the more you loosen up, the more sort of motion it has, which is nice. We'll give this like a grill. Maybe it scoops up other particulates, stuff like that. Who knows? Here I'm adding in some little contour greeblies. Maybe that part has some shading or something. I don't know, just kind of being fast and loose, right? We'll do some hatching down this way. And then this edge, I'm going to give a shadow here, because I want this to really have like some dimension to it. I want it to look like this is a big flat surface on the top. We can give it some, texture. Maybe we'll give it a little bit of hatching along this edge, just to kind of make it three-dimensional, a little bit more three-dimensional. All right. Yeah, see that hatching I didn't even stay in the lines at all over there. All right, so this part, I think I want to push this back a little bit right through here. So we're going to do a little bit of hatching there, like so. Leave like that little square standing out. Like maybe this part goes back. And really, with this stuff, there's not a lot of rules to it. Like you can kind of, where you start to shade just kind of makes up the shapes as you go along. So that's nice. I'm going to add some little surface details, maybe like a little panel. Panels are good for spacecraft, right? Stuff like that. Makes it look science fiction-y. Very cool. Okay, now this is an interesting shape. I'm going to grab this edge right here, shade that, and then I'm going to kind of pull back in the opposite direction there. And then give this like a little bit of an edge. And then we'll shade underneath it. And I'm probably just going to do single pass hatching on this whole thing. Yeah, definitely. And then this edge I want it to be a highlight, so I'm going to come through a shade above it. And that's just going to make it look like it's kind of standing out towards us. And here we can kind of shade that in, like so. Same thing up here. We'll just give it a little bit of a contour going this way. And just making up some little details here. Just trying to stay loose, loosey-goosey, but not sloppy. All right. So I'm going to come down here and just kind of finish this off. My ADD kicked in there, so I started just shading and whatever random stuff I saw over there. We'll do something down here. And then let's do some hatching coming down this way, like so. Just kind of making these look like cylinders. Maybe some little surface details up here. And you can really get pretty random with this stuff. Like, it's, you know, it's all like made up science fiction-y type stuff. So it doesn't need to, not everything needs to have an explanation on your drawing. Unless that's the kind of drawing, I mean, don't let me discourage you. If you want to come up with a function for every single little bit on here, go right ahead. But I feel like I don't have that kind of time. Maybe I do. Not all of you have that kind of time for me to sit here and do that. It's more what it is. So all right. This is turning into an interesting shape up here. I'm going to draw some extra lines on there to kind of make that hatching make sense. Sometimes if you start doing some hatching and it doesn't make sense, you could just throw a line next to it and it totally fixes it. So keep that in mind. And we'll just go along this little edge. This part's supposed to be in shadow too. And this part right here. I'm going to leave that little space in between them as a highlight. Shade down here. Could do a little mini sphere type shading on the little turrets here. And something like that. All right. Now let's come over here. This is going to have a lot of highlight stuff on it, but we want to have, because this is kind of, I'm imagining it hanging off the edge here a little bit. So we want to give it a little bit of a shadow underneath here. This edge right here. And if you don't like your little greeblies or gibbets, you can always just modify them a little bit, like I just did there. something like that. Less is more sometimes, so try not to overdo it. I think I might be overdoing it just slightly. Don't do it exactly like I do. I mean, you make yours better, obviously. We'll do some hatching coming down that way. Hey, it's starting to look like a three-dimensional object. How about that? A little bit of hatching coming over this way. A couple gibbets. A couple greeblies. And then I want this to be pretty much open space on the top here. So we're going to... This is like the part of the ship that they put the most like contour into. So we're going to give it a little bit of a drop shadow coming down. Other than that, this, we're pretty much just going to leave it alone. Nice big highlight. All right. Shadow on that turret. Just come through and add in like any details you feel like it needs. Like I said, try not to overdo it. And then I'm not 100% satisfied with the ends of these little guns, so I'm just going to add in some little muzzle doodads on here. Like so. These ones will be smaller. I think those got a little loosey-goosey. There we go. Cool. All right, so there's our spaceship all drawn out. Let's just take 2 seconds and we'll use a circle maker and just draw in some little moons or planets in the background real quick, just to kind of tie it together. And that'll be it. We got one. Be careful when you're doing this, it's easy to smudge. I like to just kind of turn the pen straight up and down. And it works pretty well with the fountain pen. But be careful, it's easy to smudge. We'll give them another little dude down here. Give him some quick texture. This guy, we're gonna make him kind of a bumpy sort of dude. He's got a little texture around the edge, and then we'll kind of shade in a sphere sort of shape. It's kind of like so. Just real lightly too, like you just want to give it some quick little background texture. Something like that is probably perfect. And this would be a cool one to come through and, you know, do some paint over. I think I might start experimenting with some gouache or something at some point, but we'll see. And then this one I'm going to draw some ellipses, almost like it's a gas planet or something like Jupiter. We're just gonna draw some loosey-goosey little texture lines around it. Something like that. Maybe just a little bit of hatching down on this edge. like so. And then this guy, let's give him a ring. Like that. And then just some straight line hatching right across. And you can take your time with this stuff and make it nice. I'm just keeping mine sketchy. Bam! Beautiful. Spaceship flying through space. All right, I'm going to pop my signature on here. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe if you found this useful or entertaining. And special thank you to my patrons on Patreon. There's links. And I will see you all in the next video. All right. Okay, bye.